Well, things definitely seem to have taken a bit of a turn for not much happening. Lots of rebels in the colonies, so no real change from the norm there. Inca continue to strike pretty hard against avocados from Mexico, which is going to be putting a little bit of an economic strain on Spain, although Spain's still making a good amount of money from trade and taxation. Not that reliant on tariffs yet, and they probably are still getting a couple of treasure fleets, although I think most of the gold mines in Mexico are no longer owned by them. Oh no, they still have 2. But yeah, most of the Mexican gold is now owned by Spicy Avocados. So I'm kind of curious, actually, how much of the treasure fleets that the Kamchandals are getting now. You just click on here, and then over here. 360 ducats per treasure fleet. That's pretty nice. Meanwhile, the war for Indonesia continues to rage on, although this is very much a war of occupation as opposed to a war of aggression. And the Middle East and India stay quiet as they continue to build up, licking their wounds. Manpower is still pretty low for most of them. Tunis only just really recovering, by the looks of things, to their maximum army size. Are they actually paying wages? They are. So yeah, Tunis has only just finished removing mercenaries and things. Where is their army? Oh, down here in the south. Interesting. Yeah, by the looks of things, these are not mercenaries. So Tunis has now recovered, though it's still waiting for their manpower to replenish. Mamelukes have recovered surprisingly quickly. They have a lot of manpower. And the Mameluke armies are still very much under strength, so possibly paying off loans. Nope, debt-free as well. Bankrupt? Don't think so. Nope. So the Mamluks have recovered. They're just maintaining a very small army, which is probably a bit dangerous, especially as they are capped for manpower. They probably want to start using that manpower and turning it into fielded troops. Meanwhile, Phaonix has crashed again. Isn't this the 3rd time? Who formed Jerusalem? That would be the Ottomans. Well, the Papal State, and then the Papal State seemingly sold it to the Ottomans. Yes, Hindustan did just finish off Pasai, earning even more money. Like, a lot of people are scared of the Ottomans in this, but the true danger is Hindustan. Pretty sure the Hindustan could take out the Ottomans. The Ottomans have become decadent with their success. And what do the Papal States gain from this? Oh, Malta. That's what they're after. They're trying to kick the British out of the Mediterranean. Yeah, that's reasonable. Because from there they could be doing a lot of raiding, and probably have been. Japan is offering a peace deal to the Papal States, just a white peace. Ooh, Andalusia has arrived in Indonesia as well. In the Moluccas. Austria's prestige is very low for no apparent reason. I suspect it's because of alliances. And I've just been told that Spain wants to come and talk to us.
Hello!
And Spain is in fact here. Hello, Spain.
So, Great Britain does not want to peace out, which is fine with us, because if Great Britain goes bankrupt, that's half morale on everything. And if you look at all my ports,
Yeah,
I have a lot of heavies.
I've been watching that.
So, I mean, if Val doesn't want to accept my peace deal, then all right with us. We can just wipe Val's navy, go on to Ireland, do everything. Yeah, it's...
So what are you trying to take from the British?
Concede everything in Eastern America.
Right.
Yes. Let me look at the peace deal just for verbatim. So Calais Artois to France, Malta to Papal State, Great Britain will concede colonial Caribbean, and New Iberia will concede colonial Eastern America.
Mm-hmm.
Great Britain will pay 360 ducats to Spain and its allies.
Interesting.
Yep.
That doesn't seem like a particularly unfair peace. I'm a little bit surprised they've not taken it, because this has gone pretty badly for them.
Yeah.
I guess they think it's because of the war score is still ticking up, so that will actually neuter out. It'll be 0. It'll be like -1. Huh, interesting. If they can keep hold of Tortuga. Tortuga is the key.
Yeah.
So I got to say, I was super impressed by the coordination of your attack there at the beginning. I am really pleased that I caught that.
Sacrificial Navy was fun. It was, I mean, it's been built back up so easily, so it's not like a lot like money. Fine, money, ha. But yeah, so let me look at the ledger, see how many heavies. Great Britain has 30 heavies. I have 44. So if bankruptcy happens, easy win there for the coalition and everything.
It does look like Britain's been removing some of their heavies, because they did have about 50 at one point.
Yeah, they're probably they're gonna have to try to subsist off of the Ireland money.
Yep.
All the money they're getting from Ireland. But yeah, thanks for talking.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks very much for the feedback there. I was wondering what you were trying to get peace-wise. And it does kind of make sense why Britain hasn't pieced you out, because the war score is deceptively weird.
Yeah.
So, good luck.
Good luck to you. See ya.
See ya. So yeah, they are waiting for the British to actually accept the peace deal. Britain is on their last loan. So they're bankrupt. It's happened. Now it's just up to whether the other powers recognise this. 5 years. They have 5 years to go completely ham against the British. We'll watch this, see if they notice. It's just a flesh wound. And they have defeated the rebels down in London. They just sent down the French to go and deal with that. British are taking some attrition with ships, so I'm assuming moving their fleets and their vessels around. They do have a large fleet here in the the Dutch Channel. Spain probably? Nope, Spain still hasn't moved their fleets together. This is really dangerous. So, I want to talk about this for a moment. You don't want to do this, because if Britain decided, you know what, I should probably be blockading these guys, they would be dropping small fleets off of your coast, and those fleets combined would definitely be better at fighting than your little fleets separated. So you've basically just cost yourself naval superiority, even though you could probably actually fight against them. Particularly because Britain has Malta, which means that they're not going to be taking attrition in the Mediterranean. They could maintain this blockade pretty much indefinitely and not really worry about it. Looks like the Allied powers still haven't recognised that they've gone bankrupt. We'll be watching to see when they do realise. I'm not sure that they realised just how close they were. I think that was part of the problem. Like, I didn't expect it either. 13 loans? That seems really low. But then again, Britain lost that much of its core territories that there wasn't a huge amount that they could have done about it. But yeah, don't leave your ship spread out like this. It looks cool because you got like an entire coastline loaded up with boats, but don't. It's so easy to lose superiority because you are so spread out. Always keep them consolidated. Portugal losing in... yes. Portugal is losing hard to Japan and the Philippines. Pretty much fully occupied. Large Japanese armies here, which actually weren't there previously. Probably dealing with all of the rebels. Meanwhile, Brazil is also being occupied by Britain's ally, Inca. Avocados from Mexico, fully occupied by Inca. So Inca's actually done some real work here. Inca was a good ally for the British to have. It was just too bad that so much of Britain was occupied. Oh, we've got a fleet fight going on down here. 30... Nope, that was a transport fleet. Just intercepted and destroyed by the British. The British moving away up into the Irish Sea. Nope, that's not their combat fleet. Where'd the combat fleet go? They still have them somewhere. Britain's also getting some disasters. Internal conflicts. 20 out of 20 war exhaustion. This is bad for Britain. I think that Britain's trying to hold on to this far too heavily. And the naval coalition really needs to be thinking of a way of going after Tortuga. Tortuga at the moment is costing them 50 war score. 50. That's why this is looking like Britain's winning right now when they're not. They're definitely not. Oh no, sorry. Spain is winning by 1%. But it's just Tortuga. If we go over this, we can see that you can gain 44.6 more war score by taking Tortuga. It was a bad choice because they've never been able to actually take Tortuga from the British before. They should have made the war goal being either up here or, better yet... Yeah, it should have been one of these, because I think this is where most of the fighting would have been. Or Britain, if you were confident of actually taking some territory here, get France to declare it. If they had France declare for Calais instead of letting Spain go for it, there you go. That would have done it. And now we're on 0. I don't know what Britain's goal here is, because they're not going to be able to force a peace until 50% more score. And they're not going to get that from what they have. They might be waiting for some other powers to intervene. But Spain and Andalusia seem to have a pretty decent relationship, although we do have a substitute in Andalusia who may have different ideas. France and Austria, actually there hasn't been that much of a rivalry between France and Austria, so that may not come to anything. The Netherlands? Maybe? I don't really see what the Netherlands would gain from it. Ottomans and Russia are a non-factor as they're not allowed to declare wars this session. Mamluks have gone after Ethiopia and are losing. Oh dear. Oh dear. Mamelukes. What's going on? Mamelukes and Delhi fighting against Ethiopia. The Mamelukian conquest of Tajura. This seems like the Ethiopian conquest of the Nile to me. I mean, there is a Mameluke army down there. There is a Delhi army over here. I wonder what Delhi's going to get out of this. Andalusia is also going after Ethiopia, so Ethiopia has just been carved up between the different powers now. Rebels continue to rise. There are a couple of rebels now in Ireland too. 20,000 British soldiers have disappeared, having been sent elsewhere. Treasury is still negative. Can you still go into debt when you're bankrupt? Yeah, you can, with 10% interest. Ouch. Have they noticed? Nope. Still haven't noticed. And time is ticking away. It's been like 2 years already, hasn't it? When does the bankruptcy end? We want to go to here, and then oops, wrong nation. Modifiers. Bankruptcy ends in 1606. It's already been 3 years. Well, 2.5. I don't think the coalition's going to notice. They've already lost half of their time. I don't think England's going to be able to recover. So we have a couple of colonials going after New Iberia. Do you get 10 corruption with a bankruptcy? No. Corruption would be because people have been debasing corruption, or because their technology has been unbalanced. I know you lose allies and prestige. I don't think you lose allies. You definitely lose prestige. The main thing, though, is the morale. In fact, let's take a look. What are the effects? +5 interest per annum, -50 morale for armies and navies, -100 manpower recovery, so you don't recover any manpower, -100 sailor recovery, so you don't recover sailors, +50 advisor costs, +50 tech costs, -25 reinforced speed, -200 global settler increase, +50 idea cost, monthly autonomy change, mandate growth up, institution spread -50, absolutism -2. So the other thing which will have hurt here would be advisor, tech, idea costs, and the big one actually is you lose any monarch points you had. That's one that always takes me by surprise, and I always forget that exists. Scottish rebels, yeah, I mean, a lot of rebels are definitely popping up here, and if the French don't act soon, they're going to lose London. And that would definitely be a blow. It won't be enough to flip the tide of this. But what is England... what is their goal here? I don't understand what England is hoping to happen. Unless they're talking to another power that has something against Spain and France. Or the Pope. I mean, possibly Mamelukes? But the Mamelukes have got their own problems. Tunis... actually like the Papal States. So Tunis, I would say, is more aligned with the coalition. The Islamic world probably doesn't really care. The only one I can possibly think of would be the Netherlands. And I'm not sure that the Netherlands would be particularly willing to go up against France and Spain, or Austria. This would be a really good opportunity for Austria to get up in Spain and France's face. But Austria also hasn't seemed to be willing to do that. So I really don't know what England's victory condition here is. I mean, the war score against Spain is growing, but it is now maxed out. So Spain is now -50% war score because they don't control Tortuga. And they are parking 22,000 troops there because they know this. If Inca had a navy, Inca would be the one in the position to go after Tortuga. Okay, so the rebels were dealt with, but not before they took the city. So now France is having to expend manpower to actually retake the city. French manpower, though, still at 73,000. They're not having a problem. Spain's at 42. Still haven't realised. Spain's just sitting there. 3 years. 1.5 years to go.
Hi, Mordred. It's Richard.
Hello.
Popping in with a couple of little bits of news. Firstly, Commonwealth says that they have crushed the Sejm, which means that...
Oh, they're parliament, so they are now more dominant.
Yeah, means that they're an autocracy and not an elective monarchy anymore.
Right.
And the second one I thought I'd mention is that the Ottomans have found themselves something to do with the Congo, because they're not allowed to declare any wars, so they've allied with the Congo and been helping them in all of their wars. So there's a small Ottoman army that's been wandering around Central Africa.
So I see. Yeah, I was wondering if the nations that weren't allowed to start conflicts this session would do something like that. So I'm kind of pleased that the Ottomans have found something to fill their time.
Yeah.
And I've been finding it hilarious because the naval coalition, as they're called, the Spanish, the French, the Papal States and the Portuguese, have been waiting for Britain to go bankrupt. They went bankrupt 3 years ago. I don't think they've realised.
they missed it.
Because they were saying, yeah, we're going to start pushing against Britain when they go bankrupt. And they have been. Don't tell them. Like, you're not allowed to tell them.
Don't worry. No intention of letting them know.
But it's been kind of hilarious because we're just kind of sitting here just going, what are they doing? I don't understand.
Right, I'll go back into my commentary box.
Yep, cool. Thanks. How is Helson doing with his Russia? Russia's been pretty quiet this session, probably... Oh, nope, they can't start any offensive wars. They can't go and break up the Kamchundals. And Uran definitely isn't going to be at all interested in going out. They might be trying to go after Finland. I know Finland's their vassal, but they might try to integrate them. Although Finland has a lot of really nice defensive bonuses, so just leaving them on the frontier between Sweden is probably a good idea. They can't declare against Kazakh. They can't go against the Kamchundals. Yeah, Russia's just going to have a pretty quiet one this session. I mean, what Russia could be doing is acting as the financial support for Britain. Just to fill time. Because I don't think that would win them any enemies, and that would earn them the allegiance of the British in the future. Meanwhile, Ireland is getting crushed. Because, yes, Britain is about to be hit by rebels enforcing demands. Gaelic separatists, Hebridean separatists are going to start triggering, and will start to break up the country. Plus, internal conflicts are about halfway to triggering. Brothers Ale is offering mercenaries. Brothers Ale, of course, of Ayutthaya, the mercenary monger of the world. Of course, how is Ati, also known as Val, going to pay for this? We don't know.